Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for watching our Business Basic to Business Standard Smarter Way to Work webinar. Today, I'm joined with James, who is a modern workplace specialist. The webinar today should only be about 20 minutes. It's a quick one, but if you have any questions at all, please get in touch with your account manager and we'll do our best to help you, as I'm sure we always will. Thanks, James.
So good morning, everyone. Thanks very much again for joining us. As Vicky had said, this is a webinar to go over business basic to business standard and some of the kind of tools and features and things that will be available to you as a part of that journey. Little introduction for myself. As Vicky said, I'm James Graves, a modern workplace specialist. Basically means that we live and breathe everything that's in the Microsoft 365 stack day in, day out. So today's going to be a little bit different to the previous webinars we've run, purely because it's going to be aimed around a bit of a story. So we've got here Sarah, who's an operations director at Nest Form Architects. Now, Sarah and her business are a fictitious one we've come up with, but it's aimed around a particular blog and things like that, and situations and stories that we've seen commonplace in the past. So we're going to centre this around Sarah, her role, and obviously Nest Form Architects as a business. And just to set the scene a little bit here, as you'll see, Sarah runs a boutique architecture firm with 25 employees. She started with Microsoft 365 Business Basic, which gave her team some reliable emails, cloud storage, access to web versions of Office applications. Great starting point for any new business that's started up today. But the Business Basic licenses and her 25 staff started to come across a few issues, etc., with their day-to-day lives, and a few problems and things and issues that they're needing to start resolving. As you'll see on the screen there with our bullet points, the team needs to be able to start working offline on some of these design documents and other documentation that accompanies that. Obviously, that's a restriction of their Business Basic licenses today, that they can't work in a situation where they're potentially on a train and they've got no internet signal, or the scenarios where they could be in a coffee shop with poor internet signal. These are the sorts of things that they were seeing as struggles. They also wanted to be able to collaborate in real time on proposals or presentations, a little bit more flexibility so that clients could book meetings with them across their calendars, and also their ability to be able to host workshops, webinars, things similar to what we're doing here today now. So next up, all I want to do is just kind of give a bit of a recap around the Microsoft 365 Business Basic stack. I'm sure many of you will be aware of what you've got today, but just to kind of cover that off again. Big point here with Microsoft 365 Business Basic is it only comes with the web versions of the application. So this isn't the traditional desktop installed applications that you would see, where you'd have that small icon on your desktop, you double click on it, opens up PowerPoint for you, etc. That's very much not the case. You have to access all of these applications via a web browser. You get your usuals, Teams, your SharePoint, which is your collaborative storage area, OneDrive, which is your personal secure cloud storage, features known as Microsoft Forms and Microsoft Planner, which give you the ability to kind of create, should we say, a bit of a schedule across the team. And obviously with Forms, you're able to do things like feedback forms for your website. You can do things like contact us forms, sign up forms for events and things of that nature. And then, as you'll see at the bottom there, you do start delving into the world of Power Automate and Power Applications. Power Automate's a really, really powerful tool. And if it's not something you're engaging with already, really recommend reaching out to your Cobweb account manager regarding that, because you can get some really, really powerful automation of daily tasks that you're potentially doing, and you can have it so that the systems will automatically do that for you. So coming back to Nest Form Architects and the problems that we saw that they were having there. So we've got two towers here of benefits. One's looking at it in a little bit more depth, but on the left-hand side, you'll see some of the things that they were struggling with. So from a productivity standpoint, they were struggling with their ability to work from anywhere. They were lacking in certain features that come from the desktop application stack, and their ability to save work. Now, saving work's easy, straightforward. I'm sure many of you do it. This was from the perspective of saving work and having other members be able to collaborate on that in real time, and keeping the versions of that up to date. We've also got on their appointment scheduling, so they couldn't be in a scenario where they could send out a link and have partners, book time straight into their diary. And then obviously webinars, etc., was a limitation factor for them as well. They couldn't host these workshops and these customer engagement events that they wanted to do virtually. So if we dive there onto the right hand side and kind of cover off how moving on to business standard kind of helped with these aspects. So going back again to the productivity stack at the top there, you'll see file save changes and the complications associated with that. So when they were running the saves inside of their web-based applications, etc., they were often finding problems and issues around versions of that save. So they could go in and save it, but when a colleague was doing that, they potentially weren't seeing the most up-to-date version of that. So there was risks around losing the latest save changes as a consequence of that when they had multiple people in the document. Now, accessing these via the desktop applications was helping resolve that issue because it was taking the latest versions from SharePoint's, OneDrive's environments, etc., and it wasn't requiring that internet connection in the same way in order to kind of keep those drafts updated. There was missing functionality as well around kind of some of the core productivity tools. Now, in terms of what's missing, it's often not a case of missing, it's just not as easily accessible for a lot of those productivity features as a consequence of that. You can very much look at this as some of the things around your ability to start importing shapes and, generating tables and things like that. While the features and functionalities there for the core pieces, there is some aspects that can be missing as a consequence of using those web-based applications. A lot of the pieces as well, if you start introducing some more advanced features around being able to produce sensitivity labels and things like that as well to encrypt information, starts lacking when you go into the online versions of these applications. Obviously, reading and drafting emails offline, that's kind of a big one for a lot of people. I know personally, I can sit on a train and I can catch up on all my emails in my inbox, knowing full well that once I get off the train, reconnect to an internet connection at my hotel, at home, whatever that may be, all them emails that are sat in there will automatically start firing out and sending for myself. So it allows me during that offline time to still be able to catch up on emails and do productive work during that period of time. So from a productivity standpoint, for me personally, I do see a lot of benefits in these offline applications in terms of Outlook in particular. We've also got on there, appointment scheduling. This comes from something that's known as bookings within Business Standard. And what this basically allows you to do is, I'm sure many of you will have seen before, when you receive an email and it states on there a little link at the bottom that says book timing with me. Really, really easy to do and easy to set up piece. They click on the link, opens up your diary, lets them book a 15, 30, hour-long slot into your diary for whatever purpose that may be. Now, obviously, in the instance of Netform Architects here, they wanted, to be able to have that link in their emails, in their signature all the time, getting people to book that time in with them, and trying to drive, sales, conversations, engagement with their customers at every possible opportunity. This also helped from the perspective of being able to coordinate calendars, several emails going backwards and forwards. Can you do this time? No. But can you do this time? No. Can we do that time? Back and forth, as I'm sure you'll have no doubt done in the past yourself. So sending that link out basically means they can see your diary. They have access to their own diary, of course, and you can obviously collaborate on that timing a lot easier and bring in other parties as well as needed. Last up on there, we've also got webinars as an aspect on here as well. So webinars, again, are a really, really powerful tool for being able to engage with your customers. We here at Cobweb do them on a regular basis, hosting these business premiums, business basic standards on a monthly basis. We wouldn't be able to do that without tools like webinars within Teams. And once you reach your business standard point, you create the ability to be able to scale this engagement to customers through these online webinars and events. Now, obviously, because you're using web-based applications, etc., within your basic, these are a lot more limited, but I'm sure many of you have accessed these features and functions before. So from the webinars perspective, it basically means that you can host a slightly different Teams environment where you have question and answer sections, you have the ability to screen share, you have the ability to anonymize staff, people that are joining, all things of that nature, basically, that come with some fantastic features for you to engage with customers. People ask questions and so on and so forth as a part of that. So these were all increased features and functionality that Nest Form architects needed and benefited from as a business, bringing all this ability to engage more with customers, book more time with customers, book more meetings, and obviously increase the productivity of the team as well. Rather than them sat on the train and watching Netflix, they can be sat on the train, they can catch up on their emails, etc., and do some productive work during those often long spells on public transport or planes or whatever that may be. So a few questions to kind of ask yourself if kind of business standard is going to be right for you as a business is, how do your employees experience work with the web versions of the Office applications today? Is it a question you've ever asked your team? Do you see any productivity dips because you can't work offline on those applications because we don't have access to webinars, tools, features and functions of that nature? Would your sales team book more if they had that bookings link as a part of that? And these are the kind of the 4 core questions that we would do. Is collaboration becoming more complex? How are you currently managing your appointments, and am I managing more devices or remote workers and things of that nature? Which again, being able to bring your business standard stack into that, and obviously having those staff working remote and having the ability to work offline if needs be, again, really, really powerful stuff that you can bring into that. Cost implications associated with this. Now, if you aren't using Business Basic today and you was buying individual component parts for these licenses from across the board, let's say you was using the Google Workspace stack, for example, and accompanying third-party products, you'd be looking at a total cost there of about $32 to do what the equivalent of a Microsoft 365 Business Standard is today, which is $12.50. Now, obviously, from a Business Basic license, that is an increase versus your license costs today to $12.50, as you will see on the costings there. However, kind of the big thing I would drive and say towards that is, what are the potential productivity gains, the engagement with your customers, and booking more meetings worth in terms of the value difference there? Not potentially for all staff, but some staff could potentially gain, quite dramatically from that ability to do and utilize these sorts of tools and features. And then just to do a conclusion here for you all. So obviously, desktop applications, I've mentioned it several times, that working offline piece, hugely, hugely important. One thing we didn't give too much thought to, but it is something that I did want to mention, was a product known as Microsoft Loop, which gets included in Business Standard, which allows you to create collaborative workspaces to co-create on that. So you can imagine if you've got a large project going, you can create the project in Loop. Different people can have different aspects of that tool assigned to them. And it's a collaborative space, an event that's going on, and you wanted to create the planning of that, talking about this piece and bringing all those components together from different departments, different individuals within the business. So Loop, really powerful tool for doing that sort of stuff. Starting to integrate a lot of AI features with the Copilot chat and things into Loop as well. So powerful tool. And again, if you do look at upgrading to Business Standard, highly recommend that you look at that as a product set, and it is something that we can have demonstrated for you as well. And then last upon that list, we've got the webinars aspect. So obviously webinars, attendee registration, the reporting aspect off the back of that, the ability to create a chain of emails that go to them before, during and after the event, so that you can pre-schedule the entire journey of that webinar for your customers and potentially get the most off the back of that for yourselves as a business from an engagement perspective with your customers. And that's all we had today. We'll obviously pause for some questions and things if they're apparent. But if there is no questions, just want to say a massive thank you all for joining us today. And again, please do reach out, engage with your contacts here at Cobweb, and we can demonstrate this and show additional value for you on an individual basis if it's necessary. Thanks again.
Thanks so much, James. It's really good to see a Business Standard license in real life, especially going from Business Basic, and it helps to know some underutilized tools as well, like Microsoft Loop. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, everybody. And if you have any questions at all, just get in contact with your account manager. But we hope that this has been a really educational session for you, and we hope to speak soon. Thank you.